Hello friends, welcome to the fantastic world of stories and why we tell them from Culture Katha. After a short break for Krishna Janmashtami and Ganesh Chaturthi, I am back to tell you the story of the Kurus from where we left it last with the birth of the Pandavas. You may remember how Pandu managed to have 5 sons through Kunti and Madri with the help of Kunti's sacred mantra, and how Yudhishthira was born the eldest of the Kuru princes. But did you know that Yudhishthira was born first, even though he was not conceived first, only because of a bizarre thing that happened to Dhritarashtra's queen, Gandhari? But before we get to that, a little backstory on Gandhari. The epic says that Gandhari, the princess of Gandhara, had received a boon from Lord Shiva that she would have 100 sons. Now Bhishma, the Kuru patriarch, was always on the lookout for opportunities to grow the Kuru clan, came to know of this boon, and he wanted to have Gandhari married to his nephew Dhritarashtra. So he reached out to Subala, the king of Gandhara, with his proposal. Subala, the father of Gandhari, naturally hesitated to give his daughter in marriage to a blind man, but eventually agreed to because of the distinguished lineage of the Kurus. Not surprising, is it? Even today, the pedigree of a family matters so much to us, and it's a big consideration in Indian marriages. Anyway, Gandhari was married off to blind Dhritarashtra. Wanting to be a faithful wife, she blindfolded herself so that her sensory experiences would not exceed those of her blind husband. Having thus proved to be a very virtuous wife to Dhritarashtra, she settled well into the royal family. One day it so happened that sage Vyasa arrived at Hastinapura tired and hungry. Gandhari received him well and took care of him nicely. Pleased with her, Vyasa too granted her a boon that she would have 100 sons. Quite strange, isn't it? How both Shiva and Vyasa gave Gandhari the same boon. This kind of repetition is common in the epic, and scholars attribute this to interpolations or additions to the epic made over time by different people. The other question that crops up is if a woman can really have 100 sons. Some scholars say that exaggerated numbers like 10,000 sons or 1,000-year lifespan, etc., that we frequently encounter in the epic are merely indicative numbers and not to be taken as real. But curiously, in the case of Gandhari, it's almost real as the epic lists the names of all her 100 sons, whom we collectively refer to as the Kauravas. Anyway, soon after she received Vyasa's boon, Gandhari became pregnant with Dhritarashtra's child. But unfortunately, after carrying the child in her womb for 2 long years, Gandhari could not deliver the child. In the meanwhile, news of the birth of Yudhishthira reached her. Frustrated and angered by her own situation and how she had lost out to Kunti in the race for progeny, she struck her stomach hard and tried to abort herself. When she did that, a hard mass of flesh resembling an iron ball came out. A disgusted Gandhari was about to throw it away when sage Vyasa suddenly appeared before her and prevented her from doing so. With his divine vision, he understood what had happened. He then asked Gandhari to arrange for 100 pots of ghee. He then had the ball of flesh cut magically into 100 parts, which were then placed into these pots of ghee. The epic then goes on to say that with time these parts became 101 separate embryos. Here, as you would have noted, we encounter a bit of inconsistency. First, the epic mentions that the flesh ball was cut into 100 parts, and then later says that the ball of flesh became 101 separate parts. We are not sure how the inconsistency crept in or whether it's proof of a later addition to the epic. In any case, 101 children were born. Now we all know about 100 Kaurava brothers. So who was the 101st Kaurava sibling? That was Dushala, the only daughter of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. All the Kaurava siblings, says the epic, were born within a period of 1 month. But Duryodhana was the first to be born. As soon as he was born, Dhritarashtra summoned the Brahmanas of Hastinapura and Vidura and said, I know that Yudhishthira is the firstborn among the princes, and he will obtain the kingdom by virtue of his own good qualities. But is there any chance that Duryodhana will succeed Yudhishthira? But as soon as Dhritarashtra uttered these words, several bad omens broke out. Hyenas, jackals, and other wild animals began to scream from all directions. Observing these bad omens, Vidura and the Brahmanas advised the king to abandon Duryodhana as they felt that the child would bring destruction to the Kuru lineage. They told the king that it was in the kingdom's best interests to let go of the child. But which father would want to abandon his firstborn son? Dhritarashtra was no exception. He refused to do so, and the rest, as they say, is history, or as in this case, itihasa. Again, one wonders about these sections in the epic. Why does Dhritarashtra ask if Duryodhana can succeed Yudhishthira? Ideally, if Yudhishthira were crowned king, it would be his son who would succeed him. Why then does Dhritarashtra think that there could be an opportunity for Duryodhana? The other question is whether Duryodhana can be held solely responsible for the bloody Kurukshetra war that destroyed the Kuru clan. Or was the war the result of several unstoppable events and actions of other equally powerful characters such as, say, Krishna? The epic, as always, offers no straight answers. And that's exactly what makes the epic enigmatic and beautiful. Friends, stay with me on this epic journey as we explore the greatest story ever told. Till we meet again, it's Tata bye-bye. Take care.